Hello, hello. Hey, everybody. It's Keith Matejka from Thunderworks Games. Just popping on a Tuesday, 10:30, Madison, Wisconsin. We are excited to be launching the Tenpenny Parks Kickstarter campaign today. Just went live a few minutes ago. Already well past halfway to our funding goals, so we're really excited about that. And so here we are. We're just going to hang out and talk Tenpenny Parks, talk Thunderworks Games, talk whatever you guys want to chat about. Feel free to jump in the comments and say hello. But let me just tell you a little bit about Tenpenny Parks. What is Tenpenny Parks, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. Tenpenny Parks is a board game, right? And came out in 2022, I believe. I should know that. It's been out for a couple years, and designed by Nate Linhart. It was his first published design. We worked together on this game for quite a few years, and he pitched it to me at a Gen Con quite a few years ago, which was kind of a funny event in which he sent me some materials. We decided to get together. We sat down, and he was it's never happened to me before. He sat down to demo his game, and he's like in full cosplay. He's got like a mouse whiskers painted on his face, and I believe he had like some kind of animal ears on it. But he showed me the game. It was a rough prototype, but I was excited about it. Just the idea of doing a theme park themed game. I've always been a fan of theme parks. I love me a roller coaster for sure, and I always love playing. Not Roller Coaster Tycoon, but those types of games. Actually, it is Roller Coaster Tycoon. I'd always loved those games, video games, and I was excited about it. So I took the game home and the prototype home, and I played it quite a few times with friends and family, and people seemed to like it. So as much as I did. So we worked on it for quite a bit. Game came out a while back. It was originally a straight to retail title. So this is the first time it's ever been on Kickstarter before. Now we're introducing a huge collector's edition deluxe box that has the base game in it, and then there's also the expansions, right? So there's kind of two expansion boxes. The Winter Lights and Spooky Nights is the holiday themed expansions, and half of it is Halloween themed, and the other half is Christmas themed. That's in that smaller box, and then in the larger expansion is the Innovation expansion, and that adds player powers, additional victory point conditions, kind of additional actions you can take, kind of more depth and more options for players. So this campaign, we have the separate Winter Lights Spooky Nights box. We've got the Innovation box, and if you're interested in both, and you would like to store everything in one larger box, we have the Collector's Edition, and that comes in two flavors. There's the, hey, I've never played Tenpenny Parks before, I don't have a copy, I can get everything for Tenpenny Parks in one box version. And then there's a version of the pledge where if you already have Tenpenny Parks, you can just get all the new stuff, including the new box. So that's kind of the pledge offerings. This is the cover for the Winter Lights and Spooky Nights box. And then this is the Innovation box. So if you're familiar with with Thunderworks titles, this is the same size as Cartographers or Goblin Vaults or Emerald Skulls, kind of that size box. And then this is the same size as Stone Spine Architects, if you're familiar with that box size. So, or you can get them in one larger box, which is roughly the size. We've never done a box that size before. It's as that one. It's roughly the same size as the Thunder Road Chrome Edition, if you've played that, or it's actually somewhat similar to the Luthier box that just came out, but a little bit kind of shorter. Anyway, those both have, or the Collector's Edition, whether you get the all-in version or the no base game version, comes with some awesome plastic inserts trays. So there's Dan Cunningham, who designs our inserts. He did Role Player Adventures and Stone Spine Architects and Metro Runner and basically all the plastic trays we've ever done. He does a great job. He did this one as well. There's a single tray on the bottom, and then there's 4 additional trays that kind of set into it so that you can just take the trays out and just play the game out of the trays. Lots of lids to keep everything secure, and it's pretty awesome. So that's what the offering is. What is Tenpenny Parks? Tenpenny Parks is a polyomino worker placement game. So polyominoes is a board game term for basically cardboard Tetris-shaped pieces. If you've ever played something like Baron Park, or there's quite a few polyomino games. I'm trying to think of the 2-player one that has like 5 different versions of it. Patchwork, I got it. Patchwork is a polyomino game, so it has that idea of kind of taking these Tetris pieces and you place it on your board. The Tetris pieces represent different rides that you can build, and you put them on your park board on like a grid. And the kind of spatial puzzle there is that they can never touch, because you have to leave pathways for visiting patrons to be able to navigate the park, so they can't be butting up against each other. So the closest you can get is kind of corner to corner. So that's kind of the polyomino part of the game, is that you're building these rides and you're putting them on your space, but on your park board. But the problem is there's a bunch of trees growing there, which limits where you can put things. So one of the mechanics of the game is that you visit the arborist, and they're going to help you remove some of the trees on your board so that you can place the polyominoes on or ride token the tiles on your board a little bit better. The other kind of half of the game is about placing workers, right? So there's many worker placement games. This one has a handful of places where you can place your workers. Some of them can take any number of workers, where you go to the arborist to cut down some trees, or you need to go to the bank and grab some more cash. But there are other spaces that are limited, that only one person per round can go to, and they're around a central carousel. So there's a carousel in the center of the board that spins around. There's mechanics around this, so there's different prices on the edges of the carousel that give you discounts or increase the prices of the different rides that are available. And so when you place your worker down in one of those spaces, you're basically deciding to purchase this ride. You pay some money, and you get the card, and you find the matching polyomino, place it on your board, and now you've got a card that represents this ride as well, which then you will be able to advertise that ride later to earn more points, otherwise known as VPs, visiting persons in this game. So the game takes place over 5 rounds. You're placing your workers. By default, you have 3, but there is an additional worker that you can get your hands on if your ride is in the right configuration. So on the main board, there are 3 tracks: Awe, Joy, and Thrill. And depending on what rides you buy or what concession stands you build and put on your board, those tracks are going to bump up. And at the end of each round, whoever's highest on each one of those tracks gets an additional reward. So the Thrill track will get you that 4th worker. Very coveted 4th worker by some. But then the other ones give you additional cash. And then the last one gives you the star player marker, which is really important because the star player gets to decide how they want to rotate the carousel in the center of the board. Rotating the carousel, it basically says, well, I'm going to go first, and I want to make this ride the cheapest, which is going to make that one more expensive for you, or that one less expensive for you. So you're kind of manipulating the prices as the star player, but you also get to go first, so that's always important if you're trying to get to a spot that you don't want anybody else to take before you get it. So that's kind of the core of the main game. It's all about the carousel, building rides, putting them on your boards, bumping up the emotion tracks, trying to get those advantages, and then advertising them at the end of the round to get more points. What are these expansions, these newfangled expansions we're talking about, Keith? Well, let me tell you. The innovation expansion, the innovation expansion adds a new board on the bottom that you place on the bottom of the main board, and you have a researcher at the start space. And each round, or each year, I think we call it, um, you can bump up your, instead of placing a worker, you can bump your researcher up one space on the track, and you're going to get different rewards um, depending on the year. So the first one allows you to get a new victory point condition that's just for you. If you get there early, then you get to pick from more options. You get there later, you kind of get the one you get. And then you also bump up, you're going to get a specialist, which the specialist is basically you have now a new player power. So I have some special ability that nobody else has that I can leverage to, get more points and win the game. And then there's one where you get a new basic free expansion to your board. So expansions usually you have to pay for to kind of get more territory for your park. And this one gives you a free one, but it's got some downsides, right? So it has some it's a puzzle to work around. So there's that. And then there's one that just gives you bumps to the emotion tracks. If you get there earlier, you get more bumps. If you get there late, you kind of get one. And then the last one is that you get to build, in the final round, you can build any ride you want that you can see on the board for free, which is pretty awesome. So that's kind of the researchers going along that track. There's a bunch of new rides. So here's an example of one. And so one of the new features of these, if you take a look at these cards, most of these have a suit or a category. So like in this one, we're in the underwater category. So we got sorry, it's on the side. You got the little blue icon, the little Poseidon's tridents. And so we've got that one. It's just in one suit. In the rides that are in innovation, you have rides like this Velociraptor hunt, and it's got two different suits, right? So instead of being just one, this is both prehistoric and Western. So this is kind of a Western themed prehistoric ride, which is pretty fun, which has got some fantastic artwork from Vincent Dutray, who's amazing. Did the base game, he did all the expansion. He's been awesome to work with. So that's kind of one of the changes, one of the additions for the innovation expansion. What else is cool about the innovation expansion? It's got the board, it's got the researchers, it's got more rides, it's kind of like a more of everything, right? There's more money to support that. There's more trees to support all the additional expansion boards. So that's kind of fun. And then the holiday expansion, otherwise known as Winter Lights and Spooky Nights. This is a smaller expansion. Half of it's winter, half of it's Christmas, half of it's Halloween, and you can mix and match one or both at any point. On the Halloween side, you've got some rides, like I was showing this one before, that give you these little ghosts when you buy this ride. And so there's a whole pile of ghost meeples that look like this. They're cool. They're like got little faces on them. They're screen printed on both sides, so you can see this side and that side. And then on the bottom, there's like a secret prize. So there's a bunch of them out in the supply. You build a haunted ride, and then you get to pick one of these ghosts, and on the bottom they have some kind of prize. So this one has a dollar bill, and this one's got a little, I get to cut down a tree symbol, and this one has I get a bump on the thrill track symbol. And there's a handful of these, and you take them, and then you put them on your rides. And then when you decide you want to advertise this thing at the end of the round, in addition to spending $2 to get one victory point here, if he's haunted by this ghost, you also get to remove a tree from your board. So it kind of gives a bonus when you advertise that ride. So the pirate ghost ship is haunted because it's got a cool ghost on it. There's also, even if at the beginning of each round when you play with the Spooky Nights, you also place a ghost on one of the rides, specific one that's underneath the $1 mark on the carousel. So there's always going to be at least one ghost available each round. Sometimes if you have the spooky rides, you're going to have a second one available too. And then if that ride doesn't get purchased that round, then you keep adding some. So sometimes So you can get like a ton of ghosts on these sometimes. It's pretty rare, but it happens. So that comes with the ghosts. It comes with, some new rides that are haunted, and that's pretty much it, I guess. And then on the Winter Lights side is the Christmas themed version. That half of the expansion comes with these cool screen printed Christmas trees. So during setup, when you're playing with this expansion, you put one of these Christmas trees to replace one of your regular trees. Christmas trees cannot be removed by the arborist because they love Christmas too much. And every time you place a tile on your board next to a Christmas tree, then you bump on this new thing called the holiday track. The holiday board has the cheer track, and you bump up a little marker on that. It kind of works a little bit like the emotion tracks, but the thing that's interesting is that when you bump up on it, sometimes the reward is, you get a reward every time you bump up on it. Sometimes it's a reward for yourself, so like money or victory points. Other times, in the spirit of giving of the holidays, you get to give your neighbor a bump on an emotion track. So there's a little bit of giving going on in this competitive game when you're playing with the Winter Lights expansion. And then whoever's highest on that track at the end of each round is going to get a point. What else is cool? You're going to get a bunch of new rides, that are kind of holiday themed, that you can throw into the mix, that have little cheer track bumps on some of the cards. Do I have one? I do have one. Sweet. So this Arctic Express raid, this is a Western themed Christmas card, which has a funny illustration from Vincent. But along here you can see that these two little light bulbs means that you get 2 bumps. This is a pretty big piece of polyomino, and it's pretty expensive, but the rewards are pretty sweet, right? You get 2 bumps on the cheer track, and that's how it works. So there's some new rides for that. Oh, here's the examples. These are the little markers that go on the board on the cheer track. Everybody has their own little light, Christmas light bulb, and I'm just looking at some of these components that Harrison put out here for me. So these are what the screen printed meeples for the researchers look like. There's one for each player, obviously, the gray player and the purple player. And then in addition, I missed on the Spooky Nights part. There's some spooky concessions that you get to add to the mix. So in addition to t-shirt stands that sell t-shirts like this, or the hot dog stand, which is always very popular, we have these kind of spooky concessions, and here's what some of them look like. And they give you some kind of bump, like this one gives you an emotion track bump, and the other one gives you an income increase, but they also let you take a ghost from the supply and haunt one of your other rides. So that's another way to get more ghosts if there aren't any haunted rides available, or if you just need more ghosts in your life. I think we all could use an extra ghost in our life, don't you think? So that's that. If you guys have any comments or questions about Tenpenny Parks expansions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Happy to chat about that stuff, or if you have other random things, I can answer those too. Martin says that Dan Cunningham does a good job of the exits, and I agree, for that we've done in our games. Dan does a great job. I've been working with him for a long time. He actually had a game on Kickstarter the same day that I had Roleplayer on Kickstarter back in 2015. That was a long time ago, but I've known him for a long time. And he's designed things like the tile holders for lockup he designed, or he designed all our inserts. He's done quite a few other inserts for other publishers too, but he's so yeah, I feel like we're working with some of the best in the world. So he does a great job. I'm happy that he's working on our stuff, and the insert for Tenpenny Parks is going to be great. Cool. Well, we've got the Tenpenny Parks expansions live on Kickstarter right now. Thanks for jumping in. If you backed it, appreciate it. It's been it's been interesting year in the board game space in terms of dealing with tariffs and making it to conventions, and kind of This kind of with inflation, I think people aren't spending as much on board games and stuff like that recently. So it's been a kind of an interesting year to kind of recalibrate and make sure that we're focused on the right things, to make sure Thunderworks is in a strong spot. We've had a really good year with we launched Emerald Skulls, delivered the spring, and then we delivered Citizens of the Spark, which sold great. We just have a few copies of it left, even after the additional retail copies that came out in July. And then in August, we released Flip Tunes, which is kind of a new style of game for us. We've never done a deck building game before. We've never done a game that's small in a box before. We've never done a game that cheap before. It was $20. And the art style is super divergent from anything else we've ever done. It's a great game, and people have really been digging it. We put it up on Board Game Arena like right before launch, so people could start checking it out before we even made it available for purchase, which was kind of an interesting experiment to see if people liked it, to see if that really helped people decide if they wanted to spend some money on some board games based on Board Game Arena. We have not been on Board Game Arena for that long. We have Cartographers, Stone Spine Architects, and Flip Tunes are the 3 games we currently have on there. If you aren't into Board Game Arena, I'd check it out. You might even catch if you ever search for a 2-player game of Flip Tunes, you might catch me. So I like to jump in there and play every couple days because I just really like that game. I mean, I love all our games, but Flip Tunes is nice because it's so short, I just like it. So those are kind of our big games that came out this year: Flip Tunes, Citizens of the Spark, and Emerald Skulls. So of those 3, kind of one of them is in the world of Ulos, and then the Flip Tunes and Citizens are not. And now we have the Tenpenny Parks expansions, which are not in the world of Ulos, but that will be coming, obviously, to backers in July, and then that will be something that we'll be selling at Gen Con. We've had a really good year. So we've had lots of good reviews. The Citizens of the Spark reviews have been great. Flip Tunes, we've gotten, Dice Tower gave us the Seal of Excellence last weekend on their review. So yeah, that's been a good year. Now I feel like I'm supposed to tell you about stuff that's coming up. So I'll tell you a few things. We have some expansions coming for Stone Spine Architects and for Dawn of Ulos that we plan on doing a Kickstarter for in the spring. So that's the goal for that. Those games, we love both of those games, but we feel like there's opportunities to do more and cooler stuff with them. The Stone Spine expansion is called Invasion, where there's a bunch of heroes trying to, plunder your dungeon as you're trying to build it, and you have a boss monster to defend your dungeon with along the way. That's a really kind of immersive, cool. Takes Stone Spine to the next level for sure, and that's kind of a relatively involved expansion. It's not like, hey, we're going to add a couple more scoring tiles and then give you one more rule. It's like there's a lot of cool stuff that we're adding for sure that kind of make the game, kind of transform it into something a little bit different. The Dawn of Ulos expansion, which is called Curses and Blessings, that is all about kind of that is more about kind of expanding what's there, right? So it's like we're going to increase the player count. We're going to basically double the number of factions that are available to play. So in that game you don't play as a faction. They exist in the world, and you're kind of to the side, right? You don't control a faction. You're manipulating the 5 factions that are in play, and we're going to basically double the number of factions in play. So you can mix and match however you want. It kind of makes the game configuration explode, right? So now you've got even more variability in the game. So those are kind of the big kind of bullet points for those. So those are kind of post Tenpenny Parks expansion That's what's next up for for Thunderworks. Yeah, that's cool. Let me answer some of these questions. Thanks, John. Thanks, Johnny, for asking these. Um, what's included in the Tenpenny Parks Collector's Edition? Well, let me tell you. The full all-in Collector's Edition box has the base game, the Innovation expansion, the Winter Light Spooky Nights expansion, the Fairview Challenges mini expansion, which I didn't mention, so thanks for forcing me to do that. I'll circle around. And that's got if you get the all-in, it also has the Fast Pass mini expansion, which is out and it's been available. And then it's got a cloth bag, so you can put your concessions in there that has like a screen-printed concessions logo on the front, and it's got upgraded bits for the base game. So now the workers, you usually get 3 workers plus the 4th extra one that somebody can get. There's screen-printed versions of those instead of just kind of the color shapes in the collector's edition. And it's got some more trees, just because everybody could use a couple more trees, right? And it's got screen-printed emotion discs that aren't just the colors, but it also has the symbol, the heart for joy, I think it is. And there's a lightning bolt and a star. I forget which one. I know thrill is a star, so that must be the third one is the yellow star. I don't remember. Anyway, so we're going to screen print those things to make it a little bit fancier. And it's got those sweet trays. So if you already have the base game, then but you're interested in the big box, you should get the collector's edition no base game version. So that is identical, except it doesn't have the components from the base game. It'll have all the upgraded components that we're upgrading from the base game, like it'll have the screen printed like workers, but it won't have like all the punch board and the regular board and the carousel from the base game because you'll already have that stuff. So you can basically get the collector's edition all in, but you don't have to get rid of your old one, and you can save a little bit of money. So that's the plan. Anyway, yeah, Johnny answered his own questions, but I answered them here anyway. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm thinking about other things that I could tell you about Tenpenny Parks. Nate Linhart is the designer. He's from the suburbs of Chicago, so he's only about an hour and a half from us here in Madison, Wisconsin. So we see him pretty frequently. He'll come up and do demos at local game stores with us, or come to local conventions and stuff like that. But Tenpenny Parks was Nate's first design that I worked closely with him on. And this is the only project I've ever worked with Vincent Dutray on before. I don't know if I'd say I talked to him, but I've been on emails that he was on before when he was working, I don't know if he still is or not, he was working as a art director for a Korean publisher called Mandu Games, and they had signed a role player in Korean, but they decided they wanted to redo the cover for the Korean market. So Vincent actually repainted the cover of Role Player for the Korean version, and they obviously asked me if that was okay, and I was like, of course. And they sent me a copy, of course, and it's kind of a prized possession of mine to have a copy of a game that I designed that has a Vincent Dutray illustrated cover. I've always been a big fan of his work. He's very well regarded in the industry, and he's a super nice guy, works really hard. So Tenpenny Parks, we decided if we're going to make this awesome game, we need to make sure we have the most awesome artist we can find, and Vincent's the guy. So that was a cool experience, kind of emailing him out of the blue, and he knew who I was and was familiar with Thunderworks, and he asked me to send him a prototype so he could play it, or maybe just the file so he could print it out and play it himself. So, and he did the illustrations in Tenpenny Parks, and he did the vast majority of the graphic design. So some of the graphic design, we did some tweaks at the end, but as we needed to change text, or rules questions came up or whatever, but he did the vast majority of the graphic design for both Tenpenny Parks and all the expansion material. Yeah. And so Vincent, uh, I think I might have met. I think I might have met Vincent at Essen. I think I have a picture of me and him once. I do actually, but I've only been to Essen one time in 2019. Um, we're planning on going back in 2026. So any of my European backers or viewers or fans or whatever, I will not be at Essen this year, unfortunately, with all the kind of uncertainty with the tariffs this year. We ended up kind of pulling in the number of kind of marketing conventions we were going to do. And just with some other personal reasons, we decided to stay kind of home for the fall. But we have our eyes on 2026 to be there for sure. Yeah. What else is going on? So one of the things that I like about these expansions is that they're modular. So it's like you can have whatever flavor of Tenpenny Parks you want, right? If you kind of like the vanilla pure experience, cool. But if you get the expansions, you can kind of add some flavors in, right? So you can play with the Halloween part and without the Christmas part, or you can play with both of them, and you can add innovation or just do innovation without the Christmas part or whatever. You can kind of mix and match however you want. And I'm coming back around to the Fairview challenges. So this time around we have a new mini expansion called the Fairview Challenges. Fairview is the town in which Mayor Tenpenny resides, and the Fairview challenges are public goals. So in Tenpenny Parks, everybody gets dealt a handful of goals, personal goals, and they keep 2 of them. And then they've got like these 2 things to kind of work towards throughout the game. Give yourself guidance and kind of give yourself some direction at the beginning of the game. And then you can actually get an additional one later on, a 3rd one, with the innovation expansion. But now we have these Parkview challenges, and they are public goals, and so they're everybody can see them, and everybody can go for them, and then the people who do them the best will get points at the end. So it's a simple concept, but it kind of adds a little bit more tension to the game, adds a little bit more flavor, and another place to get points. And so there's how many are there? I want to say there's 6 in the box. In the set. So yeah, and you play with a certain number of them based on the player count, and it kind of just steers you. You got another way to get points, so you can. It kind of creates that moment of like the decision-making moment of like, am I pushing towards my personal goals? Am I pushing towards the public goals? Do I see some points on a ride that could really do me some good? It kind of makes the decision space a little bit more complex or deep because there's more layers to it. So yeah, the Fairview challenges, they're cool. You can add them to any game, whether you have the expansions or not, but there are some specific to the expansions. Like there's one related to the ghost meeples, and if you're not playing with the holiday one, then you just don't use that goal. You can use a different one instead. Yeah, Tenpenny Parks, it's amazing. What else is going on? If anybody happens to be in the Midwest, we have a convention here in Madison coming up next week called GameholeCon. I don't like the name, but I like the show, so it's always a good time. It's one of those really relaxing shows. You get to talk to a bunch of people you haven't seen in a long time, and there's a lot of role-playing game people, and there's a big board game library that you can take advantage of, and we always go and have a good time. So GameholeCon here in Madison next weekend. If you're going to be around, we'd love to see you. So Thunderworks Games has a history of being on Kickstarter. So Kickstarter is, we put, I would say, 3/4 of our game, maybe 75% of our games go on Kickstarter. Tenpenny Parks was one of the few that did not. Other ones would be Cape May, Fliptoons, the original Cartographers. These games weren't on Kickstarter. These were straight to retail titles. So this is the first time Tenpenny Parks is on Kickstarter. Kickstarter was super important to me as a starting point, right? When I started designing games and think like maybe I wanted to publish one, it was really the result of Kickstarter existing. Kickstarter came to be. I saw people doing small projects they were passionate about. Guys like Jamie Stegmeyer from Stonemaier Games and James Matthew from Minion Games back in the day. They were kind of posting blogs about how do you make board games using Kickstarter. And in my ignorance, I said, that doesn't look so hard. I bet I could do that. And I was a big gamer, and I decided I was going to start designing games, board games, with the intention of going to Kickstarter to get the financing for them. And that was in 2013. And so my first project was called Bullfrogs that I put on Kickstarter. Small game, card game, pieces, was successful. Had a lot of support from family and friends, and which I really appreciate. And then it kind of became a thing, you know. So once I did one project on Kickstarter, was successful, got through manufacturing, got through fulfillment, people enjoyed the game. Then it became like, well, what's next, right? And then the ball's rolling. So Role Player came out with expansions. You know, we had Lockup, we did Cartographers. You know, we've done quite a few games at this point. It's plus expansions, so I don't know. Depends on how you count it, but it's like somewhere between like 12 and 18 games we've done. Trying to do 2 to 3 a year. 2025 we did 3. 2026 is actually going to be even busier. We're doing even more than 3, so it's kind of bananas. But that's okay. We like to stay busy. We have a small team of 4.5 people. I am the owner of Thunderworks Games, and I do some design and development and run the company finance and logistics and stuff, art direction. But we've got a marketing professional, Jessica Carey, who does great work. And we've got my wife Claire, who does a bunch of sales stuff and warehouse management, inventory management, and some convention stuff. Keeps me sane kind of stuff. And then we've got a full-time developer, Harrison Dunn. And then we have a part-time graphic designer. So it's really kind of, it's a small team, but we get quite a lot done. I'm impressed by ourselves. Anyway, Jess just told me that Tenpenny Parks is fully funded on Kickstarter, the expansion. So thank you all so much for your faith, your interest in the things that we do. We love bringing great products for you to enjoy, and just showing your support makes it clear that we're doing the right thing, and we should keep doing those things. And yeah, it's great. I mean, there's like the cliche, we couldn't do this without your help kind of stuff, which is very, very true. Even though it's a cliche and it's sometimes can sound not genuine, but it is 100% true. Anyway, it is time for me to go. But I want to thank you all for hanging out. If this is stuff that you enjoy, let me know. I used to do more live streams than I do now. Now I kind of do them before Kickstarter comes on a Kickstarter launch day, and maybe 1 or 2 beforehand. If this is something that you'd like to see more of, let us know. Otherwise, we will see you next time. On the Kickstarter page, we'll be doing regular updates. You know, make sure everybody is well informed as to where we're at with everything. You're gonna love the game. You're gonna love the expansions, and you take care. Good to see you.